Beloved chosen one, something in your life has already started to shift. And even if you cannot fully explain it yet, your spirit knows that you are being led. You feel it in the quiet moments when the noise fades. You feel it in the restlessness that does not come from fear alone, but from the deep understanding that where you have been can no longer hold who you are becoming. This is not random discomfort. This is not emotional instability. This is not you losing your way. This is God moving you with invisible hands toward the place meant for your spirit, the place where your soul can breathe, where your purpose can stand upright, and where your heart no longer has to shrink to survive. There are seasons when God does not announce the move with thunder. He begins with an inner stirring. He begins with a holy dissatisfaction. He lets you notice that certain rooms feel smaller than they used to feel. Certain conversations leave you drained instead of fed. Certain attachments begin to lose their grip, not because they were all evil, but because they were temporary. And your spirit can sense that temporary things are no longer enough. You have entered a moment where your inner world is becoming more honest than your outer routine. You are starting to realize that peace is not always found in staying where things are familiar. Sometimes peace begins the moment you obey the pull to move, even before you know where the road ends. This is why the transition can feel so strange. Part of you wants clarity before motion. Part of you wants a full map before the first step. But God often leads your spirit in a way that requires trust before explanation. He does not always show you the whole landscape. He shows you the next step, and then the next, and then the next. He teaches you to walk with Him instead of walking only with evidence. That is what makes this moment sacred. You are not just being relocated in a physical sense. You are being repositioned inwardly. Your desires are being purified. Your attention is being redirected. Your discernment is being sharpened. You are being taught how to recognize what carries life and what only carries appearance. You have already noticed that some things you once chased do not excite you in the same way anymore. What once impressed you now feels empty. What once distracted you now feels loud. What once seemed necessary now feels like excess weight. That change matters. It means your spirit is waking up to a higher order. It means heaven is loosening the ties that kept you bound to places, people, habits, and identities that were never designed to carry your full calling. You are being invited out of spiritual crampedness and into spaciousness. You are being called out of mere survival and into alignment. This is why the old atmosphere feels uncomfortable now. Your spirit has outgrown it. Do not mistake this tension for failure. Do not call yourself lost simply because the old coordinates no longer fit. There is a difference between being lost and being led. When you are lost, confusion consumes you and empties you. When you are led, even uncertainty carries a strange kind of fire. There is a holy ache in it. There is a sense that something is ending. Yes, but something greater is also being prepared. That is where you are now. You are standing in the middle of release and arrival, not fully in the old place, not yet fully in the new one, but absolutely under the hand of God. And because this message is meeting you at a divine crossroads, pause right here and comment 111 as your sign that you are willing to be led where your spirit can finally live in peace. You do not need to force the door that God is closing. You do not need to beg dead spaces to nourish you. You do not need to keep proving your worth in environments that only knew how to use your strength without honoring your soul. God is not leading you into punishment. He is leading you into placement. He is not removing things to leave you empty. He is clearing what obstructed your next season. What feels like loss may actually be rescue. What feels like delay may actually be protection. What feels like disconnection may actually be divine separation so your spirit can hear clearly again. There is also a reason you have become more sensitive lately. The chosen often feel the shift before they can describe it. Your spirit picks up on what your mind is still learning to name. That sensitivity is not weakness. It is part of your guidance. It is part of how God alerts you when a season is changing. You may have wondered why you cannot settle into what others seem able to tolerate. It is because your assignment is different. Your spirit was not built to sleep through transitions. Your spirit was designed to respond when heaven begins to move. So now you are being asked to trust the holy pull. Trust the discomfort that leads to freedom. Trust the quiet conviction that keeps telling you there is more. Trust the hand of God even if the path feels narrow for a moment. The place meant for your spirit is real. It is not a fantasy. It is not just a future dream. It is a prepared place, a God-marked space of alignment where your obedience, healing, and purpose will begin to meet. You are not being abandoned in this transition. You are being escorted. You are not wandering. You are being led. And the same God who stirred your spirit will be faithful to bring you where you were always meant to stand. As this pull on your spirit grows stronger, you begin to understand something that once felt cruel but now starts to look holy. The separation was necessary. The quiet was necessary. The stretching was necessary. When God leads you toward the place meant for your spirit, He does not always move you by surrounding you with immediate comfort. Very often He moves you by removing what has become too loud, too crowded, too shallow, or too familiar to let you hear Him clearly. That is why this season has felt so unusual. You are not simply being distanced from certain people, patterns, or places. You are being taught how to listen again. You are being led into a deeper kind of attention, one that does not depend on noise, applause, or constant reassurance. What once felt like isolation is beginning to reveal itself as sacred training. This is the part of the journey many people resist, because no one enjoys being stripped of what feels familiar. Yet there are moments when the familiar becomes an obstacle to the holy. There are seasons when the life you have known cannot carry the life God is calling out of you. That is when He begins to loosen your grip on what once felt normal. He allows the old comfort to dry up. He lets the old rhythm lose its power. He causes your soul to hunger for something deeper than routine. And in that hunger, your spirit begins to wake up. You realize that you were never meant to live only on surface peace. You were made for alignment. You were made for nearness. You were made for the kind of place where your spirit is not constantly fighting to stay alive. This is why the story of Moses fits this moment in such a living way. Moses knew what it meant to be pulled out of one world and prepared in another before he could fully walk in what God had appointed for him. He began in crisis, preserved when destruction surrounded him, then raised in Pharaoh's house, close to power yet never truly belonging to that system. Even there, something deeper was already forming in him. He could live in the palace, but the palace could not become his true home. And after the breaking point came, after fear and failure met him, Moses fled into the wilderness. At first, the wilderness looked like retreat. It looked like loss. It looked like the end of importance. But the wilderness became the place where his spirit was made ready to hear the voice that would change everything. That matters for you right now, because you may have been calling this season empty when heaven has been calling it preparation. Moses was not forgotten in the wilderness. He was being recalibrated there. His pace changed there. His identity was purified there. The striving that belonged to Egypt could not lead him into the assignment of God. The confidence of the palace was not enough. The anger that once pushed him could not sustain holy leadership. So God let the wilderness do its work. He let silence speak. He let distance cleanse. He let hiddenness mature what public responsibility would one day require. And then, in that lonely place, Moses encountered the burning bush. The voice of God did not meet him first in the noise of empire. It met him in the stillness of separation. That is what makes your season so meaningful. God is teaching you in the hidden place what you could not have learned in the crowded one. He is making your hearing sharper. He is teaching you to recognize His voice above the pressure to perform, above the fear of being misunderstood, above the ache of not being where you thought you would be by now. You are learning that when God separates you, it is not always because you did something wrong. Sometimes it is because your spirit is being brought into a place where the next instruction can finally be heard without confusion. Moses needed the wilderness before he could stand before Pharaoh. He needed holy distance before holy assignment. In the same way, your soul may need this season of thinning, this season of less, this season of hiddenness, because God is making room for a clearer yes inside you. And notice this too. When God called Moses, He did not merely give him a task. He revealed direction. He showed him that the journey was about deliverance, movement, and a people being led toward a promised place. That connects directly to what your spirit has been sensing. God is not only calling you out, He is leading you toward. He is not asking you to leave emptiness just for the sake of loss. He is guiding you toward the place where your soul can finally stand in truth, peace, and obedience. The wilderness was never the final destination for Moses, but it was the place that made him ready for the road ahead. Your hidden season is working the same way. It is not the end of your story. It is the place where your inner life is being strengthened so you can move when God says move. So do not despise the slower pace. Do not assume the quiet means nothing is happening. God does some of His deepest work where almost no one can see it. He prepares your spirit in private so you do not collapse in public. He humbles your heart in secret so pride does not poison your calling later. He teaches you obedience in stillness so you will recognize Him when the moment of movement comes. That is why this message is meeting you now. You are not being punished by the hidden place. You are being formed there. And if this speaks to your spirit, gently like this message. Share it with someone who is in a wilderness season. Subscribe so you can keep walking through these moments of revelation with this channel. And if you feel moved to help this message reach more hearts, you can support through the donation link in the description. Moses was not lost in the wilderness. He was being prepared there. In the same way, you are not abandoned in this quiet season. You are being trained to hear, to trust, and to follow the God who is leading you step by step toward the place meant for your spirit. As you move deeper into this journey, you begin to notice something that can feel unsettling at first. The closer God brings you to real movement, the more resistance seems to rise around you. This is not because you are going the wrong way. Very often it is because something holy is getting closer, and the pressure increases when your spirit is nearing a threshold. What once felt manageable suddenly feels heavier. Old fears start speaking louder. Delays become more irritating. Small battles begin to carry strange emotional weight. It is as if the atmosphere itself is testing whether you will keep walking when the path is no longer easy. That is why you must understand this moment clearly. Resistance is not always a stop sign. Sometimes it is proof that something in you is approaching the edge of breakthrough. This is where the story of Moses continues to speak directly into your life. Once God called him from the wilderness, the road did not instantly open in peace. The assignment itself awakened confrontation. Moses had already been hidden, shaped, and taught to hear the voice of God in a place of quiet. But now he had to carry that obedience into conflict. He had to go back toward the very place connected to fear, history, and pain. He had to stand before Pharaoh, the symbol of resistance, oppression, and hardened power. Imagine what that required inside his spirit. The wilderness had taught him to listen, but now he had to trust what he had heard. Now obedience had to walk into pressure. That is the part many people do not prepare for. They think once God speaks, the rest will unfold without tension. But Moses shows you something deeper. Divine direction does not remove the need for courage. In many cases, it awakens it. God can lead you, and you still have to pass through moments where everything in your human self wants to retreat. Moses knew what it was to question his own readiness. He knew what it was to feel inadequate. He knew what it was to look at the size of the opposition and wonder how someone like him could carry a word from God into such a hostile place. Yet the miracle was never that Moses felt strong all the time. The miracle was that he kept going even while feeling small. You may be in that kind of moment now. God has already stirred your spirit. He has already pulled you away from what could not hold you. He has already begun teaching you in the hidden place. But now the next challenge is not only hearing his voice, it is obeying it when resistance rises. It is continuing when fear tries to dress itself up as wisdom. It is standing firm when delay makes you question whether anything is really changing. This is where many people shrink back, not because they were never called, but because pressure convinces them that difficulty means absence. Yet Moses teaches the opposite. God was never more present than in the moments when the struggle seemed greatest. The plagues, the warnings, the repeated confrontations, the long tension before release, all of it revealed that heaven was at work even when Pharaoh refused to bend. That truth matters for your spirit because some of what you are facing right now is not random confusion. It is part of the crossing. Before the sea opens, there is often a moment when the path looks impossible. Before freedom becomes visible, the pressure can become intense. Moses led people to the edge of the water with an enemy behind them and uncertainty before them. That image is powerful because it captures exactly how chosen people often feel before a God-given turn. Behind you is what you cannot go back to. In front of you is something you cannot yet fully see. Around you is pressure telling you that you have come too far to survive, but it is precisely there that God reveals what human control never could. The sea did not open when everything felt safe. The sea opened when obedience stood still long enough to trust the command of God. So when resistance rises, do not immediately assume you are failing. Ask whether this may be the place where your spirit is learning to trust at a higher level. Ask whether the pressure is exposing the last pieces of fear that must break before you can move freely. Ask whether this is the moment when God is teaching you that his leading is stronger than the voice of panic. Moses did not carry people through by perfect confidence in himself. He carried them through by leaning on the word he had received. And that is what you are being invited to do. Not to become fearless by your own power, but to become faithful enough that fear no longer decides your direction. The hardest pressure often comes right before divine movement. That is why you must guard your heart in this hour. Do not let delay become despair. Do not let intimidation become identity. Do not let resistance convince you that the promise has been withdrawn. The God who led Moses through wilderness, confrontation, and impossible waters is still the God who leads his people now. He knows how to bring you through places that look blocked. He knows how to weaken what has held you. He knows how to part what you cannot move by your own strength. Your task is not to control the whole path. Your task is to keep your spirit in agreement with him as the way unfolds. And for those who feel mentally exhausted in seasons like this, there are times when what drains you is not only spiritual pressure, but also the strain of scattered focus, anxious thoughts, poor rest, and a mind that feels overloaded. One audio tool some people explore for support in that area is the Genius Wave or Genius Song, which is presented as a short daily brainwave entrainment track designed to help with focus, clarity, creativity, relaxation, and mental calm in about 7 minutes a day. If that kind of support feels relevant to you, you can look for the official details in the description or the pinned comment, and be careful with imitations or fake versions by using only the official source if you decide to try it. By now, you can feel the difference between noise and direction more clearly than before. Something inside you has changed. The same distractions that once kept your mind busy no longer satisfy your spirit. And the same voices that once shaped your decisions no longer carry the same authority. This is what happens when God brings you through hidden preparation, through wilderness pressure, and through the rising resistance that tries to stop your movement. Your hearing begins to change. Your inner life becomes more alert. You start recognizing that not every open door is a divine invitation, not every delay is denial, and not every emotional urge deserves your agreement. The inner voice getting louder is not your imagination. It is the result of God clearing space within you so that truth can stand where confusion used to sit. There was a time when you may have looked outside yourself for almost every answer. You searched for reassurance in people, in signs, in repeated confirmation, in whatever could quiet the uncertainty for one more day. But in this season, God is doing something deeper. He is teaching you how to discern. He is teaching you how to sense the difference between pressure and peace, between urgency and wisdom, between fear that shouts and truth that remains steady. His voice does not always compete with chaos. Often it waits until your heart becomes still enough to recognize its weight. That is why the inner shift matters so much. You are learning that spiritual maturity is not just hearing a message that moves you for a moment. It is becoming the kind of person who can carry divine direction without being constantly thrown off course by every passing emotion. This too is where the life of Moses continues to illuminate your own path. After the sea, after deliverance, after the great signs that no one could deny, the journey did not suddenly become simple. The people still wandered. They still faced hunger, thirst, uncertainty, and the ongoing testing of trust. Moses had already heard from God in the wilderness and obeyed under pressure. But now his leadership required something even deeper. He had to keep listening. He had to remain sensitive to the voice of God even after dramatic miracles had already taken place. That is important because many people think the greatest challenge is getting the first instruction. In truth, one of the greatest challenges is staying attentive after you have already seen God move. That may be where you are now. You have already felt the pull. You have already survived the isolation. You have already met resistance. But now comes the quiet, ongoing work of learning how to walk with God daily rather than only searching for Him in dramatic moments. This is the stage where your spirit stops craving constant spectacle and starts valuing steady communion. You begin to understand that the louder inner voice is not always louder in volume. It is louder in clarity, so it becomes easier to notice what disturbs your peace. Easier to sense when something is spiritually off. Easier to feel when a path looks attractive on the outside but carries no life for your soul. That growing discernment is a mercy. Without it, you could easily mistake distraction for opportunity. You could return to places that God has already asked you to leave. You could allow old survival habits to dress themselves up as wisdom. You could keep saying yes to what drains you simply because it is familiar. But when the inner voice grows stronger, Your spirit begins refusing what once felt normal. You are no longer as easily seduced by appearances. Something in you has learned that what glitters is not always grace, and what feels immediate is not always holy. God is training your inner ear so you can follow Him with more peace and less panic. This is why stillness is becoming so important in your life. The world will always offer noise. Fear will always try to interrupt. Other people will always have opinions about where you should go, how fast you should move, and what should matter most. But the chosen path is sustained by listening. Moses could not lead by opinion. He had to return again and again to the presence of God. He needed instruction for the next step, wisdom for the next challenge, and strength for the next burden. In the same way, your spirit cannot thrive on borrowed conviction alone. You need the nearness of God for yourself. You need the quiet where truth can settle deeper than impulse. That is why this verse speaks so directly into your season. Your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, "This is the way. Walk in it." Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21. This promise is not only comforting, it is directional. It reminds you that God is not merely watching your journey from a distance. He is guiding it. He is able to correct you, steady you, and redirect you when needed. He knows how to lead a willing heart. So take courage. The fact that you are becoming more sensitive does not mean you are becoming weaker. It means your spirit is learning to live closer to truth. The fact that certain things unsettle you now does not mean you are broken. It may mean your discernment is alive. The fact that you can no longer remain comfortable in old patterns is not a punishment. It is evidence that God is leading you beyond them. He is refining your hearing because the road ahead will require trust, not noise. And as your inner world becomes quieter, His direction will keep becoming clearer, until what once felt confusing begins to feel unmistakably guided. Now you arrive at the moment that feels both quiet and decisive, because after the pulling, the separating, the resistance, and the clearer inner voice, there comes a crossroads that cannot be avoided. This is the place where your spirit must respond. This is the place where delay stops feeling harmless. This is the place where obedience becomes more than a beautiful idea and starts becoming the very bridge between where you are and where God has been leading you all along. Many people imagine that the greatest spiritual moments are dramatic from the outside, but often the most life-changing moments happen within. They happen in the hidden chamber of decision, where no crowd is watching, no music is swelling, and no one else fully understands the weight of what is before you. Yet heaven sees it clearly. Your next step matters. You have felt for some time now that you cannot stay the same. You have sensed that old patterns no longer fit your spirit. You have watched God loosen your attachment to what once felt permanent. You have survived the loneliness of being set apart and the strain of resistance rising around you. You have learned to hear Him more clearly than before. But hearing is not the end of the journey. There comes a point when what you know must become what you do. There comes a point when your spirit can no longer live in peace with hesitation. This is that point. The crossroads is before you now, and the real question is not whether God has been speaking. The real question is whether you will trust His direction enough to move. This is where many delays are born, not because God failed to open the way, but because fear made the soul negotiate with what heaven had already made clear. Delay often sounds reasonable at first. It says you need a little more time. It says you should wait until you feel stronger. It says you should move once every risk is removed and every uncertainty is explained. It dresses itself in caution, but underneath it is often the old desire to remain in control. Obedience, by contrast, rarely gives you the luxury of total certainty before action. It asks for surrender. It asks for trust. It asks you to place greater weight on the voice of God than on the comfort of familiarity. That is why this moment feels so sacred. It is not simply about changing circumstances, but it is about choosing agreement with what God has already begun inside you. The story of Moses helps here as well, because even after hearing the call, even after witnessing signs, even after being given divine assurance, he still had to obey in real time. He still had to go. He still had to speak. He still had to lift the staff when the sea stood before him. Obedience was not merely believing that God was powerful. Obedience was acting as though God's word was more true than the evidence of danger in front of him. That is the kind of faith your spirit is being invited into now. Not a decorative faith that sounds beautiful in speech, but a living faith that takes the next step when the road is not fully visible. You may already know the area where this applies. It may be a door you need to walk away from. It may be a conversation you need to stop avoiding. It may be a habit that has become too expensive for your peace. It may be a place that once sheltered you but now suffocates your growth. It may be an instruction from God that you keep revisiting because you know it is true, yet you have been waiting for permission to postpone it. But the longer your spirit lives beneath a delayed yes, the heavier everything starts to feel, and that is because grace is trying to move you forward while fear is trying to keep you still. No wonder your soul feels stretched. You are standing between two directions, and only one of them contains peace. That is why this word matters so deeply right now. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. This verse does not flatter your need for control. It confronts it with a higher invitation. It reminds you that understanding is not the foundation of obedience. Trust is neat. You do not have to know everything to follow God faithfully. You do not have to solve the entire future before saying yes to the next step. You do not have to feel fearless before obeying. You simply have to decide whose voice will have the final authority in your spirit. And because this moment is a threshold, let your response carry the simplicity of surrender. Comment, "I will obey." Do not underestimate the power of a quiet decision made in alignment with God. A single act of obedience can break the hold of a season that has lingered too long. A single surrendered step can release peace where torment had been circling. A single yes can begin untangling what years of hesitation kept tight. This is why the crossroads is holy. It is not there to shame you. It is there to reveal you. It shows what your spirit truly trusts. It exposes whether you still need certainty more than you need God, or whether your heart is finally ready to move when He says move. So stand here honestly, but do not remain here forever. The place meant for your spirit will not be entered by endless analysis. It will be entered by obedience. God has not brought you this far to leave you suspended in indecision. He has been preparing your hearing, strengthening your inner life, and clearing what could not go with you. Now He is asking for your yes. Not because He needs your performance, but because your yes opens the path for your next season. The delay can end here. The wrestling can begin to loosen here. The movement your spirit has longed for can begin here, at the point where trust becomes action and obedience becomes the road beneath your feet. Now you begin to see why none of it was wasted. The pulling, the separating, the wilderness, the resistance, the inner sharpening, the crossroads of obedience. All of it has been guiding you here. Not to a place that is perfect by human standards, not to a life without challenge, but to the place meant for your spirit. The place where you no longer have to betray your soul just to remain accepted. The place where peace is not something you perform, but something you live in. The place where your calling and your character begin to stand together without tearing you apart. This is what God has been doing all along. He has not merely been moving events around you. He has been preparing a home inside you for His direction, so that when you arrive, you do not enter as the old version of yourself. You enter as someone who has been refined by the road. That is why this final step carries such holy weight. You are not arriving as the person who once begged old places to keep you. You are not arriving as the person who once confused noise for purpose, urgency for wisdom, or comfort for calling. You are arriving as someone who has learned that being led by God is worth more than being affirmed by the wrong environment. You are arriving as someone who now understands that not every departure is a disaster, and not every closed door is a punishment. Some doors had to shut because your spirit could not breathe there anymore. Some attachments had to loosen because they could not go where God was taking you. Some seasons had to end because they were chapters, not your final dwelling place. Moses understood this deeply, even though he himself did not possess the promise in the way many expected. He spent his life being led by God through impossible terrain, and though the journey was marked by burden, correction, intercession, and the repeated testing of faith, his life still became a witness that God knows how to lead His people toward what He has prepared. The wilderness did not defeat the purpose of God. The resistance of Pharaoh did not cancel the purpose of God. The fear of the people did not erase the purpose of God. Again and again, God proved that what He begins, He knows how to carry forward. That is the truth settling over your spirit now. The path may not have looked like what you expected, but it has still been ordered. The process may have stretched you, but it has not destroyed the call. The road may have humbled you, but it has also made you ready. And perhaps the deepest sign that you are nearing the place meant for your spirit is this. You no longer crave only rescue. You crave alignment. You no longer ask only for escape. You ask for obedience. You no longer want blessings that leave your soul unchanged. You want the kind of life where the presence of God is more precious than appearances, where truth is more valuable than speed, where peace is stronger than performance. This is maturity. This is the evidence that your spirit has been taught by the journey. You are becoming the kind of person who can receive what God gives without turning it into an idol. The kind of person who can walk through open doors with humility. The kind of person who can remain soft before God even after surviving hard seasons. So let this become your prayer now, not as a formal performance, but as the honest language of a spirit that has been led through fire and silence and is finally ready to rest in God again. Father, thank you for not abandoning me in the places I did not understand. Thank you for every season that felt hidden but was holy, every delay that was protecting me, every closing door that saved me from living beneath what you had written for my spirit. Thank you for staying with me when I was restless, confused, tired, and afraid. Thank you for speaking even when I struggled to hear you. Lead me fully into the place meant for my spirit. Remove from me whatever still clings to fear, compromise, distraction, and unbelief. Strengthen my heart to obey you with peace. Teach me to trust your voice above my feelings and your direction above what is familiar. Let my life rest where your presence is strongest. Heal what has been wounded in me. Quiet what has been anxious in me. Establish what you have planted in me. And let my spirit live in the place you prepared, with humility, courage, and unshakable faith, in your holy name. Amen. There is peace in that prayer because there is surrender in it. And surrender is what finally allows your soul to stop fighting the hand that has been guiding it. The place meant for your spirit is not reached by force. It is entered through yielded trust. It is entered when you stop clinging to what was and start honoring what God is saying now. It is entered when your inner life agrees with heaven more than it agrees with fear. This is why you can breathe differently now. This is why even your tears carry a different meaning now. They are no longer only the tears of pain. They are also the tears of release, recognition, and reverence. You can feel that something has shifted. You can feel that what once tormented you no longer has the same authority. You can feel that peace is no longer far away. It is becoming your atmosphere. And as you carry this message in your spirit, gently like this message if it has spoken to your heart. Share it with someone who is still trying to understand why God has been leading them through so much change. Subscribe so you can remain connected to this flow of truth and encouragement. And if you want to help more people receive messages like this, you can support through the donation link in the description. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not wandering without purpose. You are being led, and the God who called you, separated you, strengthened you, corrected you, and sustained you is faithful to complete what He has begun. The place meant for your spirit is not a myth. It is part of His design. And now, after all the stretching, the testing, the listening, and the obeying, you are no longer merely hoping it exists. You are stepping into it with a spirit that knows the voice of God and has learned to follow.